Yesterday I told you that God has created us with a purpose, and unless and until we find out our purpose, unless and until we find out our absolute, we are going to seek and we are not going to be happy. He has done everything very beautifully. Now we should understand what are we really inside. Moreover, as I explained to you yesterday, that whatever I say is to be taken as a hypothesis, as a scientist who would keep his mind open and see for himself, because everything is not known to you. And whatever I say, you have to keep your mind open. You need not accept me blindly, because blind faith is of no use. But if you get your enlightenment, you get your self-realization, you actualize it, you become, then you have to verify for yourself whatever I say, is it true or not. For example, if I say that the Christ, our Lord, is placed in this center of ours, at the Agya Chakra, which I'll explain to you in details. You are not to believe me that he's placed there. But you have to see for yourself, when you get your realization, you will be able to raise the Kundalini for the people. And when you start raising the Kundalini, you will find that it will stop at this point, because you will become your own gurus. The Kundalini will move at your fingers. And then when you find the Kundalini has stopped here, you will be amazed that you will have to ask the seeker or the subject to say the Lord's Prayer. And that's the only way you can get out the Kundalini from that center. It's a mantra. It's a mantra. It's a chanting which was given to us. He could have given the Bija mantra, the seed of that chanting is Ham Ksham. But he didn't give, because he thought people would be, especially Christians, would be very rational people. So he thought better give a complete explanation of the whole thing. But every word of it is a mantra. But it is to be awakened. If it is not awakened, it's dead. It is to be awakened. This is the basis of Sahaj Yoga. Saha is born with you. Sahaja. Ja means born. And Saha is with. It's born with you, spontaneous. Its living process within you is your own right. You must have it. So this is a living process, and the living happening should take place. You should become your absolute. You should become your own guru. You should get complete integration within yourself. And then you will be able to discriminate. Because the all-pervading power, about which I told you yesterday, is surrounding, is everywhere. Only you have to be awakened. Once you are awakened, you can start feeling them. The existence of that around you, on your fingers. Imagine on your fingers you start feeling that cool breeze of the Holy Ghost. That should happen to all of us. And the time has come, the blossom time has come, and thousands must get their realization. With this, today I would explain to you the different centers we have within ourselves and the chakras that are within us. I was amazed in New York. They said that people are taking a lot of money for this chakra therapy. I mean, I just can't understand what they do about it. But all those who came from these chakra therapies had all their chakras ruined completely. I mean, you pay to ruin your chakras. I just couldn't understand. Anybody coming from India is not a saint. On the contrary, as I told you, there could be greatest thuggery in India. Yes, they're very intelligent, cunning people. They can be very good. If they are good, they are very, very good. And if they are bad, they are horrid. So you have to be careful when you think of an Indian, that, as we cannot say that all Americans are Mr. Ford, In the same way, Indians also, you must know how to discriminate. First of all, your discrimination power must come. Otherwise, you won't be able to make out who is a real, who is not a real. That must happen to you. Unless and until that happens, the rest of it is of no use. Because as I said, this room is dark and your eyes are closed when you come inside. You see nothing but darkness, and I start telling you this is this, and I tell you there's one elephant you can't see and there's one tiger sitting here. You just believe it. There's nothing like that here. And you people are definitely much more honest, that you can't believe how people could be such fake. Or there can be fake people all over the world. I'm ashamed of it sometimes when I see that in the great country of yoga, where such great incarnations came in, such great work of the saints has been done, horrible people also are born in the same place, because that's the place they want to harm, they want to attack. They are negative, not only negative, but they are very, very dangerous. I may tell about them tomorrow or day after, but today I want to tell you about the good things that you are, the beauty that you are, and how beautifully you are made within yourself. So within us, as I told you, lies this residual power called as Kundalini. This is a part of the all-pervading power, which thinks, which understands, which coordinates, which loves. Is the integration of all these powers within us as this Kundalini. Now, so many books have been written about Kundalini. When I read them, I was shocked that how could people write books about Kundalini without understanding what it meant, without understanding where it was. Such big books have been written on Kundalini, which says the Kundalini is in the stomach, some say Kundalini is in the nose. I don't know, how could people write? I mean, it takes nothing for them to write something and to publish. And they are not afraid of God that they are writing all these nonsensical things without understanding it. So this is the Kundalini that is placed in the sacrum bone. Now this bone, even in English, is called a sacrum. This word comes from Greece. As I told you, that Greek people knew about Kundalini. Sacrum means sacred. This bone is a sacred bone. And why is it a sacred bone? Because the Kundalini, the primordial desire within us to be one with the divine, is still unmanifested and sleeping, and is the safest place where it has to be. Now you are paying attention to me. Now if I say you pay attention to yourself, you cannot. You may say I am paying attention, but you cannot. You cannot take your attention inside. But if there is some happening within you, then your attention is drawn inside. So it is built like this, that at a human level, this happening will take place of sprouting. And when this sprouting takes place, then your attention is pulled inside. This attention has gone out because of the prismatic, as you say the prism here, prismatic action of the brain of a human being. I will not go into the details of it, but there is a big science about that, why our attention is outside all the time. Now below the Kundalini, which is 3.5 coils, is placed a very important center of innocence. Is the center of innocence. The first thing that was emitted out of the all-pervading power was, it had the form, I should say the all-pervading power was nothing but just innocence, which is the most powerful thing in this world, is your innocence. And this innocence is placed below the Kundalini and is adorned by the deity called as Sri Ganesha, who has a trunk like an elephant. Now this is a subtle center called as Muladhara Chakra. Chakra Muladhara. Muladhara means the support of the root. Now root is the Kundalini. It is the support of the root. Kundalini is the mother. And this is your innocence. This is your childhood. And that's the mother. And the mother is there to give you your realization, waiting all the time. She is your own individual mother, and she is just waiting ages together to give you the experience of self-realization, to give you your second birth. Now the last center looks after, in the gross, the pelvic plexus, which you have heard of, which has also got 4 subplexuses. This has also got 4 petals, as we call it. There are 4 petals. So this center looks after the pelvic plexus in the gross, which looks after the excretion. This center we must consider at length a little bit, which is very important to understand, that this also looks after the sex and reproduction, mainly the sex and other excretions. Now you can see here that it is placed below the kundalini. That means sex does not play any part in your evolution. It does not. Those people who say that sex has something to do with kundalini are really blasphemous and very ugly people, because you cannot put sex to your mother. It's something even today is not accepted. When people have become so much lenient about sex, is not accepted. And this is what it is when people talk of sex and kundalini together. It has nothing to do with sex. Animals are more sex conscious than you are. Are they going to get evolution before you get? Moreover, the whole thing that is worked out in such a way that we have started having the sex through our mental activity, which is a wrong thing. Christ has said, thou shalt not have adultery. Thou should not commit adultery. But I say verily to you, thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. Because he knew this would happen one day, that the sex would move from there to this Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra, by which we think. And then it will come into our thinking and our eyes will start roving around. And then actually the sex act minimizes. And it becomes a big problem. I mean, to be a sex point itself becomes an achievement for people then. It's such an absurd thing to do. And this is what is a very big confusion today in the modern times. I mean, you cannot make compromises with Christ. What he said is absolute. But unless and until you understand that sex as a married life, as a private thing, is the one that has been sanctioned for our sustenance as human beings, that has to be looked after, is to be respected, is sacred. So, before I go to other chakras, I want to tell you about our other unknown areas which are very important to us, and then we'll go to the second chakra. As you see here, on the left-hand side, this blue line is there. This power of desire is the left side. We call it in Sanskrit as Ida Nadi, also called as the Moon Nadi, and in the Hatha Yoga is the Tha Nadi. This is the channel, is a subtle channel. But this gives rise to the gross channel, which is the left sympathetic nervous system. Now doctors don't believe that left and right sympathetic nervous systems are too different. But you will find out yourself that they are very different. This looks after our emotional side. And also beyond this lies the area which is unknown to us, is the subconscious. It is unknown to us. So if you move to the left side, you move to the collective subconscious too much. And then all kinds of things can happen to you. For example, first of all, you start getting shaking, you start hearing voices, you start feeling that you are losing your body, you are going on top of some place and seeing things. Is all these spirits are doing. It's a very serious thing. One should never go into these unknown areas of the collective subconscious and worry about the dead and control them and look after them and call them. You must give them their freedom. It's a very dangerous area into which you enter. I hope you don't mind. I have to tell you the truth, because never play with the fire, which is the subconscious, the collective subconscious. You have to be in the present and not in the past. Now the people who think too much about their past, what was my previous life, why should you worry? Whatever it was is better today, because you can get realization today. So now we come to the left side, then to the right side. Right side is the action, the power of action, is the Surya Nadi, is the channel of the sun. When you want to enact your desire, manifest it, then you use this action power. Ichha Shakti is called as Sanskrit. Now this power works mainly through this second center. This center is called as Swadhisthana, and this center has got 6, you can see 6 plexuses. It's like the Star of David. Like this center is used for converting the fat in your stomach for the use of your brain. Now do we realize that our brain is made of fat? Do we know all our nerves are made of fat? Now there's a general principle in this country that you should not use any butter, which is very wrong. When you don't use any butter, how are you going to supply this brain with something? I mean, where will you get? It's completely drained out. You use your brain so much so that this poor center has to work only for your thinking, which has no productivity. Just gone thinking. We think all the time. And what do we think? Either we think of aggression or we think of recession. For example, we think that, oh, we are guilty. You do something and then you sit down, oh, I should not have done it, this is very wrong, I should not have done it, and you start wondering about it, correcting about it. But actual correction is not there. Actual correction is not there. Only by thinking you avoid the main issue. You have to be in the present. But thinking can only take you to the left or to the right, to the past or to the present. You cannot be at the state where you become just yourself. There's no thought. There's no mental activity at all. You just become. Because a thought rises like this and falls off. Another thought rises like that and falls off. In between them is a very little space, which is the present. So the past comes to the future and becomes, again the future comes in and again becomes a past, like that. But in between is the present, and that present is very small. Unless and until you know how to stay in that present, you will be always tossing on these waves of past and future, while past is finished and future doesn't exist. So in the present, if you know how to live, but this cannot be done by saying that you live in present. It cannot be done, I know, because that's not some sort of a thing that can be taught. It has to happen to you. You have to become that. Once you become that, then you become thoughtlessly aware. You become a witness. You see the whole show as a drama, and you don't get involved into it. You just see the waves coming up and going down. Actually, the whole thing is a drama, but the drama must end for you to see that it's just a drama and you are unnecessarily worried about you. And by worry, you know for definite nothing works out. But if I say don't worry, you will worry more. That's not the way. That's not the way. They all tried these tricks to say don't do that and don't do that. It never worked. With human beings, it doesn't work out. It's all right with animals. You can work it out. But with human beings, if you tell them don't, they'll do it 10 times. So best is to make them that. Unless and until they are made the spirit, it's impossible to convince a modern man to do something. So it's best is first let them have their realization. Let them have their light. Let them see for themselves what's the problem. Let them feel it and correct it. It's let them judge themselves. That is the best way is to do it. And that's the time has come for you to have it and see for yourself and be able to discriminate between false and reality. Now, this side beyond this is the supraconscious area. And beyond this is the collective supraconscious. Now, if you take LSD, For example, you take LSD, you go onto supraconscious area. You go to the right side. You move to your supraconscious area. Means you get disintegrated. In the morning I told you that when you are integrated, you don't see any auras or anything around the person. When you are disintegrated, only then you see, because you become these 5 elements. When you are integrated, you don't see anything. And then you start seeing these things like an eye and a light and all those things you start seeing. And if you go further with it, into supraconscious areas, you can become horribly possessed by the people who have been ambitious. So these things can happen to you with the supraconscious activity. And this awareness of supraconscious is also very dangerous. If you have any questions, you may ask, and then we'll have the session for realization.
Sometimes in meditation and in chanting, the person will be rocking. Would you consider that a negative thing?
Sometimes in meditation, people will rock or move. Is this a negative thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You should not rock. There should be no movement. The eye should be steady. There should be no movement in the eyelids. Nothing. This rocking is absolutely wrong. All these things should not happen. That's not meditation. Meditation is where you are absolutely normal. You are always in meditation after realization. You are in meditation. Yeah?
I've studied with Paramahansa Yogananda, the SRF, Self-Realization Fellowship, and one of the things they teach is to focus the eyes, with the eyes closed, on the ajna.
I must say that I don't want to start any controversy. That's one thing sure. But I'll tell you that proof of the pudding is in the eating. Let's go this way. First of all, logically we should see. We have to get baptism through here, not through here. Do we get baptism through here? If the door is here, what's the use of breaking this window? And focusing an effort is not going to give you realization. It's wrong. You see, this pampers human effort. You see, it pampers you that you can put in an effort. You cannot. One must accept this position. We cannot put in an effort for a living thing. For example, as I told you, for a seed, if you have to sprout it, you have to put it in the mother earth. You cannot pull it out, isn't it? Whatever you may try, you cannot pull it out and sprout. You cannot put in any effort. Any effort is wrong, is against spontaneity and living things. So no effort is needed as such.
Do you feel Hatha Yoga is necessary?
Not at all, nothing. On the contrary, Hatha Yoga creates a problem. I told you in the morning to a lady who was doing Hatha Yoga. I told her how Hatha Yoga in the modern times means nothing but physical acrobats. It is not that. Hatha Yoga was practiced about, I don't know how many years back, about 8,000 years back, when we had a different system of life, where children from 5 to 25 lived with a guru who was a realized soul and led a very celibate life. To such an extent that university, any university, say somebody's university was Vishwamitra. Then that realized soul was Vishwamitra, and that university people could not marry. Even today they cannot marry. Even today they cannot marry each other. The celibacy of that kind was present in those days. And in that time, when you are completely celibate, you are innocent, you were given these Ashtanga Yogas. There are 8-fold paths of this Hatha Yoga, out of which 8th one is Yamaniyama, where the discipline and things are there to maintain a proper life. That was given to them. And then after that, when that was done, the maintenance of the proper life and all that was taught. Also they were told the exercises when according to the movement of the Kundalini, wherever was the problem. Supposing the problem is in your particular center, then you have to do that movement. That particular exercise you have to do. And nowadays it is so absurd that we take the Hatha Yoga in such a manner that we take the whole medicine box without having any disease and get diseased. It's a big science. It's a very big science. One has to understand that everything is correlated. How is your center? Which center is catching? What center requires what kind of treatment? How to clear it? And this technique you will learn in no time. It's very simple once you get your realization.
Other sources where you can reach your realization other than through you.
Are there other sources where you can reach your realization other than through you?
Through me, it's not a question of through me or anything. It's through your kundalini. Is your kundalini within?
And there's someone else that can guide you? Or?
I don't know. I haven't seen many. I wish somebody could. Like, you see, people are very much hurt to see that I'm doing it. I said, Baba, you do it. I'll be very happy to retire. Really. They said, why you, mother? I said, really, I don't know why I was chosen for this. It's a thankless job. You must have tremendous patience, I tell you. The day I retire, my husband will pay you for that. I can assure you. He's telling me that you are trying to put patches to the heavens which are falling. He doesn't believe that I can do it. It's a thankless job. Absolutely a thankless job. But what to do? Once I did feel a little frustrated. And I said, let it be now. Doesn't matter, let the destruction come in. And then, you know, this clever man, he brought a photograph of mine with my eyes so compassionate. Such compassion flowing. I said, better do it. It's you. What can you do? You can't get out of it. That's what you are. So I have to do it, my children. I have to do it. If you could do it, I'll be very happy. Anyone, I'll be extremely happy and retire.
Other Sahaja Yogis can.
Of course. Other Sahaja Yogis can give you realization. For example, Warren himself has given realization to I don't know how many thousand. But I know of a person who has given realization to more than 10,000 people in India. Yes. Yes, yes. You can give realization. You can give it. All right?
Is the lotus position any special advantage over sitting normally?
Well,
Is the lotus position any special advantage?
not in Sahaja Yoga. Not in Sahaja Yoga. You see, now God has decided to give you in any position you sit. He has to save his creation. Many people can't even sit on the ground. So they are not to be forced now. Whatever position you have, you are all right. You drink, all right. You take drugs, all right. You are a thief, all right. Any kind, come along. Once you get realization, these things will drop out. This is the trick. Better come along and have it. There's no position required, nothing required. Only the desire to be the spirit, that's all. Thank you very much.